welcome back to another Standard Array on a different night. We had a Dungeons and Dragons game that we played with Jordan yesterday, kind of an impromptu. He got back from vacation. He was itching for some Dungeons and Dragons, and he conned us into playing a game with them. So it kind of ran pretty late, so we decided to do Standard Array one day later just to give us a little bit of rest. And here we are on a Monday night. Not usually our night, but we'll give it a shot. And we got a pretty good show for you, I think. Just like we talked about last week, I think we have a pretty good topic. But as you can see, I am Lucien, and I'm starting off with my new intro here that I'm going to read right through here. I love the spotty streamer, part-time GM who dreams of full-time world building. I have big ideas, but a -10 initiative. So I'm gonna make that into a T-shirt, -10 initiative, I think. And then I have my co-host here with me for the Standard Array is PB. I'll let her introduce herself. How are you doing, PB?
I'm doing pretty good today. It's been an all-right Monday. As far as Standard Array stuff goes, or my real life stuff, and by real life I mean online life, I'm a variety game streamer, a TTRPG fan. You can find me everywhere PB Plays Inside, and I just ate dinner, so I'm just scrambling a little bit.
Yeah, it's
NBD.
9 p.m. for me. I think it's 8 p.m. for you, and we decided to do it a little bit late tonight. This is usually our Storm King's Thunder night, which I believe is going to be back on the schedule for July. So keep that in mind. I've been starting to contact players again, and we'll get back to that. But tonight's show, Standard Array, is all about all those other RPGs other than Dungeons and Dragons. Not that me and PB, we love Dungeons and Dragons, don't get us wrong, but we also want to give as much time as we can to all these other great RPGs that are out there. We got to experience it together when we started playing Numenera. That's how I kind of met PB. And we've tried, each of us have probably looked at other games, tried some games. PB's building a game. So we really are coming at it from a lot of different avenues. And I think what we wanted to talk about tonight, and it was really kind of my egging PB on, because I kept saying, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this, I want to talk about this. I want to talk about Numenera's new edition that's coming out, new version, new revision, maybe, really would be the good word. But what was interesting to me is that originally, when I heard about this whole thing getting kicked off, I heard of it as Numenera 2. And I thought they were going to be releasing the next game in Numenera, just like you have a D&D 5th edition, so you had editions 1 through 5, or we just heard about Pathfinder 2 this summer. So I thought, there's this Kickstarter out there about Numenera 2. So I thought we'd talk about that tonight, because recently, if you've seen any type of advertising for Numenera, they don't mention Numenera 2 anymore. It's not really in any of the websites that you would go look for, and none of the emails that they might send out to you if you're subscribed to them. So, PB, do we want to dig into this? This seemed like a good topic to you.
Yeah,
Shall we dig in?
A great topic.
All right. So we're fans of Numenera. So maybe we'll talk about that first. When me and you were going to do a role-playing game together, and I had decided to kind of do my very first DM of a game online, because I wanted to do it on Roll20. I wanted to do a Twitch stream of it, because, it's not hard enough just to do your own dungeons or, your own game as a DM or GM. I had to add in production value of a stream and a new game and new players and Roll20, which I really didn't know how to use quite yet. So I threw all that in, and we got to meet during playing a one-shot that I created of Numenera, and I fell in love with the system. I mean, I really liked how easy it was to teach people. I liked how light it was for the GM to keep track of things and to allow the players really to do most of the work and concentrate on just playing and being their characters. I like the world of Numenera, the ninth world. I like all of the artwork that comes with it. I like how Monty Cook and Bruce Cordell and all the other great writers and authors that are over there really put together some good stuff. What was it about Numenera that you like? Because I really feel like you're probably a pretty big fan of Numenera also.
Well, Numenera really hits that niche where I don't really know how to describe it. I guess almost like the nostalgia factor, or just a thing you can never forget. Because Numenera and the game UDM for us was my first RPG game ever. I'd never played a tabletop role playing game until that game. I'd heard of D&D. Obviously, I watched Critical Role. It's what got me into role playing and stuff like that. But Numenera was my very first game. That game you ran, it's out there in the world. Very first time I ever did anything, and so it just like has a special place in my heart. Just plainly because of that. So, um, I really enjoyed it. Mostly because how, like you said, it was easy to learn. It's easy to grasp. Um, Even though I sort of knew how role playing went and all of that stuff, getting into Numenera and just reading like the cliff notes of the rules, basically, it really just helped me be able to role play in that situation, role play this character I was given, interact with the people around us, people I hadn't really ever met, except I think one or two people, one person I very rarely spoke to. So it made me feel comfortable very, very quickly at the table, virtual table, and it made me feel comfortable in the system. And if you watch that one shot, you'll see how quickly we all go from like, I don't really know what I'm doing to, okay, I get this. I get this for the most part. Aside from like small little details
Mm-hmm.
about characters and classes and stuff like that. But for the most part, it was really easy to learn. The world building seemed very interesting. The world in general seemed very fascinating. If you guys don't know anything about Numenera, Numenera is a game in which the setting is a world that has been lived in for basically eons. You live upon the ruins of civilization after lost civilization. And the things you find in the different classes are just evolutions from there. So you have people who can tap into like nanites that you can't see. You have people who are more in tune with like the magic-y side of the world. You find relics from a lost time that could be from our time, our modern time, or a time a million years in the future, or a million years in the past, whatever. Um, and it's very fascinating in that aspect, and it's so cool for anybody running a story in it, or creating a campaign. I guess this is what you do when you're playing a game. But I really like Numenera for those facts. And it always makes me really excited to hear anybody being like, hey, I'm thinking of running a Numenera game, because I'm like, oh, are you? I would, just, let me know if, that kicks off or
Yeah.
anything. Because, I'd be willing. I volunteer as tribute.
Yeah, I think the game, and it's that the artwork is very evocative. It allows you, when you see a scene or you see something from within the book or something that they're using as advertisement for the game, that really draws your imagination and allows your imagination. It's like a jumping off point where you see that one picture and then your mind runs with it and thinks of all the things that are going on around it. So they were able to nail this fantasy world that is starting to bud and grow on top of eons and eons of sci-fi worlds that have risen and fallen, risen and fallen, risen and fallen. And it's like interacting with these super technological civilizations, to where if you use something from that, it would be like magic anyways. There's no difference between using this super high-tech thing and it being an actual laser sword or a magic sword or something like that. And I love the idea of humanity has been gone. Even if you read in the book and you run with their campaign setting, and you don't have to, like all RPG games say, hey, here's a setting for you, but if you want to homebrew it up or you want to do whatever you want to do, you can make your own world. But in this one, it was like, if a humanity had disappeared, like during, I think it was like the 7th and 8th age, just gone, nobody knows what happened, but they all of a sudden reappear in 9th age. And I was just like, what is going on? How is that happening? I thought there's so many stories there. So we played a one shot and I thought it was really good. It's a game that I was able to teach on the fly. I was able to create interesting characters, and these guys dived right into those, and it was great. And I played Numenera. I went to Gen Con for the first time because of Numenera. I wanted to go there and play the game so that when I went to run it, I actually knew how the rules worked, not just from reading the book. And I went and played Numenera. I went and played the Strange. I went and played the Cipher system, all this stuff. Came back and ran this game. So when I got an email, I want to say it was sometime in October of 2017 that said, hey, the Numenera 2 Kickstarter's about to start. And I was like, whoa, here we go. This is going to be cool. Numenera 2. And when you went and read about that, they were talking about all this new stuff that you're going to be able to do with Numenera. But they did kind of already put in some language that said it's still compatible with the first one. So you don't have to feel like you throw that book away now, like Numenera 1 is just done and gone. It's like 2 still is going to work with it, but there's more. It's bigger. It's refined. It's different. And I thought, okay, I'm in. You know, you've got me. I love this game, and I'm in on this. And then the last email I saw was like, I got an email like on the 26th of October, 2017, and it said, hey, here's your last chance. Make sure you get on there and back the Kickstarter. And they showed some really cool artwork, some really cool artists like Guido Quip. I don't know if that's how to pronounce his name, or I would assume Guido's a he, but it may not be. It could be a her. Whoever it is, their artwork is fantastic. And there's a bunch more in there. And I thought, okay, so this is good. We're about to have this. We're going to see when it actually releases. And everything's good. So then I kind of forget about it because it's in October. You kickstart it, and then things go on. You know, I'm running D&D games. I'm doing more stuff. And it kind of goes by the wayside for a while. And the reason we wanted to bring the subject up is because what happens on April 30th for me is when confusion sets in. Because I get an email on April 30th of this year, 2018, and it says, hey, you can pre-order Numenera Destiny, and you can pre-order Numenera Discovery was the other one, Destiny Discovery. And you can go to the page. And I went to the page, and I'm like, well, wait a minute, what is Destiny and Discovery? And should I buy that, or should I buy Numenera 2? Right? Because Numenera 2 is coming out, right? And then I start looking around. I can't find Numenera 2 anymore. And I'm like freaking out. I'm like, what's going on? Is that not going to happen? So one of the reasons I wanted to bring the subject up is that maybe there are other people out there that are confused also, that we're looking at Numenera and don't realize, after we've kind of done the digging around and looking around, that Numenera 2, as far as I can tell, and I've not talked to anybody at Monty Cook Games, had a name change back over to Numenera Destiny and Numenera Discovery, and is no longer being called Numenera 2. Is that what you're kind of seeing too, PB, when you were looking around? Have you found anything that mentions Numenera 2 anymore? Oh, muted.
Good. Let's see. Well, I mean, even when we were talking about it, when we first heard about it and saw the Kickstarter, or when we started talking about the Kickstarter ages ago, we were like, oh, Numenera 2, but Destiny Discovery? And then we started reading a little bit more into it from whatever was out at the time, because again, this was around Kickstarter time. We were like, oh, so it's a new core book, but not a new game? So is it going to be the same core book, just with a different face to it? Mm-hmm. Or like, what is happening there? And so and I think from on Reddit, as I've seen, because I follow the Numenera Reddit, shout out to r/Numenera, and from the D&D Reddit and other forum boards like that, over the months, especially at launch, a lot of people were very confused as to what was happening, because like you said, it was called Numenera 2, but when you read into it, the next paragraph basically said 2 books, Discovery and Destiny. And then the paragraph after that said, this is not a new book. They really emphasize this is not a new edition of this. It is just an improvement, like you said earlier. Mm-hmm. And as time has gone on, I think they've really, I don't want to say they botched the way they talked about it, but I think they did the smart thing in advertising. Let me just put that out there right now. When people see Numenera 2, they're like, oh my god, new edition of Numenera, let me go check that out. And then they read about it. So that's that clickbait, as people say, but it's really just something to attract your attention. And then you read about it, and then you're like, oh, okay, yeah, I get it. And it has a bunch of more cool stuff, a lot more fun environments and things to play with, and improvements on classes that we've been asking for ages. So they're going to be like, okay, let me give you my money because I want this book when it comes out. uh, even though at that point it's like Numenera 2, ooh, who? You already know it's, oh, this is just a new edition, or not a new edition, a new revised core book. And so I think they really wrote on Numenera 2 until people understood sort of what they were trying to do, and then they sort of dropped, sort of like a rocket firing into space. They dropped off the Numenera 2 and then just kept on with the Destiny and Discovery. And if you're a Numenera fan, I feel like you understand what's happening. But if you're not in the in crowd, I guess,
Yeah.
you will be confused because you only see the big highlights, right? It's just like news. You see, oh, Numenera 2 is coming out. Now Numenera Destiny Discovery is about to come out, and it's in the news again, so to say. And you're like, but what? I thought Numenera 2 was coming out. Did that already come out and I missed it? And this is like the secondary extra books that are coming with the second edition, or like what's happening? And so whenever you do Google it, though, a lot of the top pop-up results that come out are Numenera 2 Destiny Discovery, not a new edition, just revising rules and adding on and revising things that our fans have told, are the feedback we've gotten. And pretty much everything says that now. There used to be a Numenera 2 page on Monty Cook gaming
On the website,
.com. Yeah. That no longer directs to anywhere. But if you do look up Destiny Discovery, that does go to those books. So they really dropped off the Numenera 2 part, and they're really kicking this Destiny Discovery part now that it's been funded, and they can afford the obscurity of calling books Destiny and Discovery. Because to me, it sounds a little bit like, you know, if we're looking at it in D&D terms, it sort of sounds like a Volo's Guide to Everything and the Mordekainen's Tome of Foes. It's just, it sounds
more
like,
than
oh,
Dungeons and Dragons
things.
6th edition. Yeah.
Yeah. They sound like extras or additions to the existing edition, not so much a new revised edition. So I think it was going to be difficult to name it any way possible anyway. But I think 1.5 maybe would have been a little bit nicer to call it instead of 2. But I see why they did it. And from everything I'm reading, to answer your original question, they have dropped 2, and they pretty much only describe it as Destiny and Discovery. Though you will see people, interviewers mostly, call it Numenera 2. And then the person in being interviewed will say, oh yeah, Numenera, Destiny, and Discovery. It's 2 books now, and blah, 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 blah. They'll talk about it that way.
Yeah. And even if, like, when you were talking about the Google search, so I did a Google search while you were talking about that. And so the first 3, if you just do Numenera, nothing else to kind of seed it, your first 5 entries, 1, 2, 3, 4 entries, Numenera. 5th entry from Google is Numenera 2, Discovery and Destiny by Monty Cook Games. And then it goes down to Numenera, new role-playing game, and then the other Numenera core books, and then it starts talking about those other ones. So even in Google, those searches are still up. And I posted the link in chat where you could see the Kickstarter that actually still mentions on the Kickstarter page Numenera 2 all the way at the top of the page. It still talks about Numenera 2, Discovery, and Destiny, but they went back in and they kind of revised it. So what is it really? So I think we want to make sure that people aren't confused. It's definitely a new product that they're bringing out, and it is 2 books that are going to do 2 different things. Numenera Discovery, and I'm going to read right from their paragraph here because I think they definitely did a lot of good market research and went back and rephrased these paragraphs to really let the person know what they're getting if they're looking at these. So they say, Numenera Discovery will be a book that covers familiar territory. It is basically a revision of the original Numenera core book. And then it says, next summer we will allow the original core book, which is now this summer, to go out of print, and Numenera Discovery will take its place. But Numenera Discovery is not a new edition. We will make virtually no changes to the way the game plays mechanically. And none of those changes affect the way NPCs, creatures, or items like ciphers or artifacts work. But what they are doing is they're adding more options. So there's more things you can do, NPCs, creatures, character class stuff, powers and ciphers and adventure stuff. All of that is coming in the Discovery. And I think what they did is they went back and they looked at how they explained some rules and they clarified the wording so that when you look at that from somebody who's new and you're trying to understand what they're saying about how you roll a d20 or what it means when you use edge or how you take hit point damage or how armor works. I think they went back and they rewrote those so they were more clear and easier to understand for those that are getting into Numenera for the first time. So that's Numenera Discovery. And then Numenera Destiny is a title that will enable characters to truly become part of the setting, to help shape the future of the Ninth World. The people of the Ninth World are locked in a medieval-like state, a world of struggle and danger, and often suffering in the shadow of prior worlds' wonders. Numenera Destiny allows you to build adventures and campaigns in which players don't just explore the wonders of the past, they utilize them to help lift the Ninth World out of the darkness. And what we've been seeing is this book's going to help allow a GM to let their players actually build a community or run campaigns based on a community that's growing and is ever changing. So it could be something where you start your campaign out in a nice small town because there was a discovery there, and then all the discovery that's coming in, all the trade that starts to come in, the politics that start to come in, it gets to a bigger town, it gets to a city, gets to whatever it turns into after that, and there's rules to help you create that style of gameplay, which is something we haven't really seen in a lot of other games. This idea of a city building or a Civ-like rule set to help a GM make their world feel living, right? So this is what Destiny is going to be. So the artwork looks great. I think that I'm interested in both books. So I think they've got me on the hook for buying not only Discovery, but I want Destiny too. And I feel like maybe Destiny at this point, although when I do get the books, maybe we could do a review of them and we could look through them. I feel like Destiny is maybe more of a GM book. Mm-hmm. Whereas I would think Discovery is a player and GM book. Although I know a lot of these companies, I mean, we can speak to this with like Mordecaians that coming out. They're trying to get away from the idea of there's a GM book and there's a player book. Because they don't want to split, in my mind, they don't want to split the pocketbooks, right? They don't want to split their money base. They want everybody buying all the books, you know? Yeah. So what have you read on Destiny and Discovery that's kind of caught your eye, or was there anything I left out that you want to point out so that people that are new to the genre or new to this game might want to keep in mind if they're taking a look at this?
So the one thing that I really want to say that you touched on a little bit is that Monte Cook Games took everything. They listened to the fans, they listened to their audience, and took into account everything that they said. And with this new edition, I keep calling it edition, I'm sorry, this new revision, they are taking all of that into account and putting it in. Everything that people have commented about the glaive, and I forget what the
Nano and the Jack, and I think there's a new one coming now.
I think it's the glaive and maybe the Nanos, the Jacks, and the glaives are getting a huge overhaul just because of how people responded to, I guess, long-term play with those characters. Sort of like how in D&D people always complain about the ranger, or they talk about OP wizards at higher levels. Same deal with Numenera. All RPGs are going to have that balancing issue. It's just what happens with the game. You get those people who are really smart and really know how to break your game. So
those min-maxers.
And so they're taking that and they are reworking all of that. They're reworking sort of the foci and the descriptors for how things work and what they are. Because if you do read Numenera, and especially if you read some of the first forewords, I guess, in the book, it's a little bit confusing. It's not the most straightforward thing in the world, especially with something that is such an out there and broad idea of you living on top of eons of civilizations that are lost. It gets a little bit confusing to wrap your head around that and then go into it, especially as a new player. I think old players, yeah, they get it. I think you have to at that point. But new players, it's a little bit more difficult to get into. And so I think with Discovery, they're going to be really making it more new player friendly, especially with this huge, huge Kickstarter that they had for this edition. So this revision. And with Destiny, oh yeah, so yeah, to finish that point is I was just really happy to read in everything that they were taking what fans said, and that's what this edition, this revision is for. It's for fans to enjoy the game more, as opposed to having to live with Numenera, the original version. Because, like we said, it's the same core book. It's just better. It's like you put on a mod that fixes all the textures. It's like your Skyrim mod to make everything look prettier. You don't like how the water looks? Fine, here's the mod for it, right? That's what Discovery is going to be. And for Destiny, to be honest, I haven't read a lot about Destiny. Not the one people are really hyped about when you read anything. But although it is very hype, I just feel like it's a more niche audience that you're hitting with Destiny. Um, Destiny? Yeah, it's a Destiny. Yeah. So with that book, I haven't heard much about it, but I agree with you. I think it's really cool that they're adding in this new mechanic. I don't think that there is, well, not really new mechanic, but new things to help people create things in their games. I'm always a big fan of giving me more. If you can give me more lore, if you can give me more tools to build things, the happier I will be. Although I love the mechanic of here is this thing, we're not going to tell you a lot about it because we want you to really play with it. Although I love that, sometimes things are left really broadly and you have enough to think about that sometimes you just want a sort of a straight answer. You sort of want to know how to do it because you just don't have the time to think up your own rules for it. Or you want to come up with like fair rulings for everything. Just like the what is it, the second edition, the complete books of everything that D&D had. I'm a really big fan of that, and I'm really happy to see Numenera really taking this prosperity and this success that they have had with, especially this Kickstarter, and really giving us things to build worlds and giving us campaigns. Like if you supported the project, you get the Trilling Shard, I think is what it's called, which is that new really cool campaign with a lot of cool art stuff. So when it's when it's releasing is what you're asking? I absolutely did. I don't remember what it said though. I didn't like I don't know why. It was one of those things I did not commit to memory. Let's see. As best as I oh, to just interrupt for a second, the best I could see is there's no exact date as of yet from anything I can see.
Mm-hmm.
But the release date is going to be sometime in June of this year.
Yep. I was just talking while I was muted. You could hear me, but the stream couldn't. So let me back up to what I was just saying.
Rip.
So what I was saying is we were trying to find the release date, and that's what PB was looking for there for a second. And while she was looking that up, I was talking a little bit more about Discovery and Destiny, because they got two D words there, so I'm always going to get them mixed up. But it does talk about the setting. That means you can still keep using your bestiaries, your adventures, your card decks, your books like Into the Night, Technology Compendiums. Jade Colossus was a book they just put out recently that was a really good book that had a really cool dungeon builder in it that was pretty neat. So all those books still work with this new version of Numenera Discovery. And then Numenera Destiny become a part of the setting, help shape the future of the Ninth World. They talk about building adventures and campaigns, which we read before, manage an entire community and help it prosper and grow, or simply create new ciphers, a cool base, or maybe a vehicle for your adventuring group. Numenera Destiny will allow you to take what you discover and make use of it for yourself of the future of the Ninth World. So 2 great books. The pre-order says, go there ahead of time, ahead of the street date. Now that I've got everything going again. When you pre-order, here's the interesting thing. When I click on the pre-order from the email, it sends me to DriveThruRPG. It doesn't send me to their store site. They have a store site on the Monty Cook Games website, but the pre-order sends me to DriveThruRPG, which I thought was interesting. On here, do they tell me... pre-orders are now open. Pre-orders a couple of weeks before the street date. I wish I could see what the actual street date was, what they mean by that. I'm guessing it's like Gen Con date is a lot of times when these people are just before that when they release. Over on the right-hand side, let's see. File last updated April 25th. That's not the date. So one of the things I think what we'll do is I want to reach out to Monty Cook Games and see if I can maybe interview one of the people over there. I'm hoping to maybe get a hold of, anybody from the marketing or anybody from the sales team and just maybe have them on for maybe an interview, or maybe have them answer some questions. If they don't have time for an interview, maybe we can just send them a list of questions and they can send us some answers, that kind of thing. And we can follow up and just say, here's what we found out. For all of those that are looking around for Numenera. Because the last thing I want to happen is that for somebody who's new to RPGs, tabletop RPGs, go out and start looking for ones that are out there. And a lot of times what happens with that is people might say, okay, everybody likes Dungeons and Dragons, right? But I like to be the person who kind of goes and looks for other stuff that not everybody's doing. There's a bunch of us out there that try to do that. We always try to go against what the most popular thing is. We're going to find the other cool thing that nobody knows about yet. They're going to do some searches. They're going to find Numenera, but I don't want them to be confused. I want them to be able to find exactly what it is. I want them to be able to take a look at it, and I want them to get it if it's something that they're interested in. And I don't want them to walk away with, well, I don't want to get this because I can't really tell what the heck's going on. And you can never get it. Not in this hobby. You can't get away from the one that created it all over there in chat. So, this is a pre-order. Numenera Destiny will release in July. Is that something you said earlier that I missed?
Oh, July. No, everything on their site says June. So
yeah, this is a pre-order. Numenera Destiny will release in July. Interesting.
Well, maybe in their store.
Oh, I wonder if Discovery's in June. Maybe that's what it is. Let me check that. Numenera Discovery. It would make sense that maybe that one comes out first. No, this one also says Discovery will release in July.
Oh,
but no date, but just July. Okay, so that kind of makes sense. Gen Con is August, first week of August, I think. If it's somewhere in the middle of July, beginning of July, or late July, that means it's been out a month. And then I'm sure they'll be showing it. Now, here's another cool fact. I'm going to Gen Con this year, and I've already signed up to work at the Monty Cook booth and to do demos of games. And I'm also going to be running games in their game room. They also rent a room at Gen Con, and they host games. Numenera, Strange, Invisible Sun, Cipher System stuff, all the different systems they have. They have a kids game too. Forgetting the name of it. It's a really good one, really highly rated. Something like "Oh No, You Don't Evil" or I'm forgetting what it is, but it's a really good game. I've seen a lot of people play it. So I'm going to be at the booth, not only doing demos of those games, but also GMing some games. So if you're out there checking those out, you can swing by. And I'm hoping that we'll be playing some of the Numenera Discovery or the Numenera Destiny stuff in those adventures. I'm hoping that's what they have set up, and we'll have to see.
Are TTRPG books like comics and they come out on Tuesdays, or are they? Or is that a thing that comes out during the weekend?
I think
Or
it's
like on a
different.
Monday?
I don't know if it has I don't know if they have a set. I think it's just when the different companies do them.
Because
Like,
Gen Con
go ahead.
is the 4th, right?
Well, it's 4 days, but it starts on the Wednesday is when booths get set up and all the vendors get there. And then
So
it opens up to public on Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday.
So the 2nd, 3rd, 4th, that's
Yep.
the week?
Yep.
So because the website says late July, I'm going to go off your assumption that it's going to come out right before Gen Con. If it is a Monday release, I think it'll come out that Monday or that weekend prior to, or like that Thursday, like some people do. And it'll come out that weekend, so people have a chance to go buy it at their local comic book stores, and then you can pick it up at Gen Con that next weekend. So maybe
Yeah.
that's what they're going to do, because the website says, or the pre-order says late July. It does not say.
Ah, nice.
Yep. So
All
those are my guesses.
Yeah. So I think what we'll do is maybe we'll send an email over to them, and maybe if I can line up an interview, that's cool. If not, I'll send them some questions, and maybe they'll get some answers to us to say, hey, have you actually set the street date? Can you leak it at this point? Are we close enough that they can actually say it? And that kind of thing. We'll try to post an update or talk about it in one of our upcoming shows as an addendum to one of them. But so hopefully if you're tuned in and you're a Numenera fan, or you watch this on YouTube later on and you check it out, the whole idea is there is a revised edition of Numenera coming out. They have 2 books. One that can be, both of them can be used supplements to the original in case you already own the original. If you're brand new into Numenera, you haven't played it before, you're going to be just fine grabbing Discovery and Destiny and just using those without having to worry about, I need to go back and get the original Numenera book to play. So you don't have to worry about that. It's going to be filled with great artwork. It's a great game to play. It's one that we're going to highlight on my channel for sure. We will be playing games in Numenera quite a bit. We'll be taking a look at some of the new things that are coming out. We might even compare the old book to the new book just to see some of the things that are different. Those are all things I'll throw up on my channel coming up when we get to that. So hopefully that helps clear it up. Hopefully we didn't add to the confusion. Hopefully we clarified and we made it easier for you to make a decision when you're out there looking for if you're going to want to jump into Numenera. So
to summarize, Numenera 2 is actually Numenera Discovery, which is one book, and Destiny, another book. Discovery being the new revised edition of the original core book, which is just called Numenera. It's just taking into account everything that fans have said and just fix a lot of stuff. So that is just something you can use in your games. You don't have to buy it. You don't have to have it. If you do buy it, you don't have to change your entire game to fit these new rules. It will easily work in your already running games and won't change too much of your prior knowledge. And Destiny is Numenera Destiny is just a book. It's like a supplement, something that is going to add to your experience, something that is going to help with building cities and stuff around cities that already exist in your world. So it's only adding stuff, but again, not necessary to play your games at all.
Yep. All right. So, and if you get questions and you want to send them our way, you can always do that. You can send them to the show or to me and PB, and we'll get back to you. Or you can put them down in the comments of the VOD, which I check. Or when this goes up on YouTube, you can also put them there in the comments. So hopefully, we get some good conversation through that. All right. So that felt like a pretty good topic. That's usually pretty close to our show. What we also like to do is a little segment where we highlight other Kickstarters that we've seen, because we've become pretty big fans of Kickstarters and supporting the creative community that's out there that's building on this hobby that we both love. I'll let PB go first. I've got one I want to talk about that's about to end. Do you have any, PB? You're shaking your head. No.
Let's see. No, I was just reading what I was.
All right, because I have one that I was going to talk about. Yeah, go ahead.
The same one I talked about last show, right? So the other. Let's see. Hold on. Let me just make sure this one is finished, because I would like to continue to tell people of all of this. Nope, that one's over. All right. So the one I was going to talk about is Summerland RPG, though. Technically, Spanish is my first language. True. But I live in the United States of America, and I do not speak Spanish in any other way other than conversational. So I can read Spanish. There are some things I don't truly understand, and this entire thing is a little bit confusing to me, just in general, this Kickstarter. But this Kickstarter is to translate an RPG that was already kickstarted called Summerland RPG, and this is an edition that's going to be translated into Spanish. It's already being worked on, being translated in Catalan. I don't know how to say it in English. It's the it's the language being spoken in Catalan, which is in Spain, I do believe. And the other one is being translated into a different language, I think French. So this is the Spanish version that they're trying to get funded, and also they're going to add more art and all of that stuff. So if you've already backed Summerland, but you think the idea of having a Spanish RPG translation of a book is really cool, I would recommend you guys pledging to it. They have 9 days to go, and they still have a pretty lengthy way to go. So again, just to add on, if you do go and support this, don't be scared by the numbers. It's all being translated. No, I don't know. Remember the word to change. It's all changing from U.S. dollars or your local dollar to
conversion.
Mexican. Yeah, a conversion. It has the original Mexican peso amount there, so it's a much larger number than you would think it is. So I know the first pledge says $25. That is only $1 in American money, in US dollars. So don't be scared by the totals. It's not that bad. All right. And the other one I want to talk about is Chronicles of the Void, which is a science fiction RPG that I think just looks pretty cool. Is this over with? Well, I still want to talk about it anyways, because it was really cool and you should have backed it. So this is a project that went a little bit over its a lot of it over its total amount goal. That is what it's called. They are semi-local. They're from Dallas, the people doing this, and basically it is a sci-fi RPG in which you are able to place it in any sort of setting. It's not set in space 2200 in a land far, far away. It's not one of those science fiction RPGs. It's more of a, hey, these are all these cool things you can do in science fiction. Now have fun and put it in your game. You can have a zombie apocalypse game and apply these rules. You can have a in space in 2200 far, far away setting. You can have any sort of setting like that. It does it all for you. It's probably something that you could see. It's one of my favorite Adam Coble quotes, in which you could you could just reskin Dungeons and Dragons or a different RPG, or you could just make the game yourself. Just make a new game without having to try and reskin everything and make everything work. And that's sort of what Chronicles of the Void is. It feels a lot like, hey, I really wanted to do this in my game, but I it was too much, so I just made my own game. So keep an eye out for that one for whenever that comes out. I'm sure they'll be selling it outside of just Kickstarter. That was Chronicles of the Void and Summerland RPG Edición Definitiva en Español. Both of the links, if they're not already in chat, I'll throw them up there.
Yeah, and I'm going to throw a quick link in there for the one that I want to talk about, which is I am backer number 598 of a really cool RPG out there called Overlight. And I'll put a link in there for you guys to check it out. So they are at 400% of their goal, but they're now going for stretch goals. They've got 14 hours left on this Kickstarter. So we're down to the wire. We're down till tomorrow if you want to get in on this. And it's Overlight, an RPG role-playing game of a kaleidoscopic fantasy, which I thought was pretty cool. 7 continents hang in the sky, stacked vertically far above, and unending sparkling sea shining down upon it all is the Overlight. And if you look at the artwork of this, if you go through the story, they captured me with the art. They captured me with trying to do something a little different than we've seen before. They've got cool stretch goals listed there. I'm really pulling for these. I believe it's called Renegade Games. If you want to check out their Twitter, I think it's @PlayRenegade. And they've got, go out there and see if you can help these out. If it's an RPG that you're looking for, I went ahead and got, I want the hardcover edition, I want the PDF, and I want to get some of the other cool stuff because I think it's going to be a really fun game to take a look at. And I'm going to also, if I can, I'm going to reach out to Renegade Games and see if we can't talk to the people over there and see if we can't have them on the show at some point. So I'm hoping that a lot of people will play that game, and we'll see some of it on my channel once it goes live. They're in Kickstarter now, so I don't know necessarily when they will actually ship, but I'm going to keep an eye on it as they've been putting lots of updates out. They've been really vocal in emails. So when I signed up, I think I was on update 14, and I think I already saw update 21 already today. So they're being really good about keeping people informed about what they're doing. Very similar to Matt Colville's Kickstarter. Very informative, always putting out weekly updates. It's not one of those Kickstarters that you send your money in and you just never hear anything back. These people are really keeping in touch. So I think it's going to be a really good game to try out and play. So I'm excited to see where it goes from here. I think you should check it out. I put the link in chat, and I noticed that PB put the other links in chat also. Support the hobby. Support all these people that have passion that build these games. We support them. We hope that you guys go out and support them. They really could use it. So I think you can take us out, PB, because I think that's about all I got.
All right. So, well, thank you guys all for watching. We both really appreciate it. Remember, Numenera 2, Discovery and Destiny, both 2 different books, not a new edition. Really cool game. When it comes out, please support it. It's one of the bigger RPGs out there now, and it's always good to grow the community by having this variation, because Numenera is so vastly different than D&D or Pathfinder or Dungeon World or some of these other big ones. So please support other games aside from just D&D or the other big ones. Support the up-and-coming ones like Monte Cook Games and Numenera. But yeah, so Lucien, where can the people find you, and what are you doing this week?
Well, they can find me on Twitter. I'm on there quite a bit, and you can find me at SirLucien Gaming, Lucien Gaming. It's all one word. You can find me on Twitch, which is twitch.tv/SirLucien. You can also find me on YouTube, which is youtube.com/SirLucien. And what am I doing this week? So this week, well, Standard Array on Monday nights. Thank you for coming out. And if you don't see the show live, I'm think the video will be out probably on Wednesday, because I usually wait a day before I send it back out. So it'll be up on YouTube if you want to catch it again, probably on Wednesday. Tuesday night, I will be playing a game with a really good GM, a really good friend of the show, Anarisis, over on Twitch, and we are playing Tomb of Annihilation Adventure League rules. And I'm getting really close to leveling again already, because I'm doing meat grinder mode. So if you want to come over and watch somebody play to the edge, I've got a barbarian that's really rocking it, and I'm having a good time. Great cast. PB's in it, so she'll talk about it a little bit when she comes up to you. No medic, is a fantastic new player that we got to meet through this campaign and has now really become a real good friend of the show also too. So I think all around Anarisis and Nomadic and PB and me have been having a really good time in this game. You should check it out if you can. I have a Thursday night game that I'll be playing. It's not streamed. It's my home game. It's a homebrew West Marches game, but I do put a lot of updates about it on Twitter, or I talk about it in some of the different shows like the Saturday morning D&D show, or sometimes I do like recaps. I want to start doing some campaign recap stuff too. And then for this week, Saturday morning with Jordan, the PH is silent, from Forgotten Realms Explained. Me and him do a Saturday morning show where we talk about what we did in Dungeons & Dragons and all of the Dungeons & Dragons news that we can find. And a lot of it's about Mordecaians right now. So a lot of that stuff's coming out. So if you want to check that out, you can go over there. There's interviews and stuff that you can check out on his YouTube channel. And then Sunday is usually when our show is. So this coming up Sunday is probably when the next Standard Array will be again. It just was on a different night tonight because we had an impromptu game this last Sunday. So that's where you can find me. I will be doing more one-shots. I usually announce the one-shots on Twitter. So definitely go out onto Twitter and make sure you click the follow button so that you can find out when I'm doing all kinds of different one-shots, all kinds of different games, and bringing in new content creators. I reach out to YouTubers and streamers and I get them in on the game and we play lots. And then the last thing I was just going to mention, and then it just kind of flew off my head. Oh, I'm trying to make a real big push on YouTube right now for subscribers. I'm doing great in Twitch. Not that I would ever push anybody away on Twitch because we're doing pretty good on follows and subscriptions. But I want to make a big push on YouTube also. I want to get up to that 500 subscriber. Yay, I'm almost there. So if you guys haven't subscribed to the YouTube channel, please head on over there and throw me a subscribe if you got it. Other than that, PB, that's all I got.
All right. Hello, everyone. I'm PB from PB Plays Inside, in which you can find me on literally all social media. I say literally all, but apparently I'm getting old and there's some social medias I'm not on. So I guess I should clarify. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, Twitch, Instagram, and Facebook. Although I don't use Facebook too much. If people start following me there, I'll start using it more and start adding stuff there because I think it's a really cool way to interact with people. And especially right now, because another thing I'm working on over on twitch.tv/ppplaysinside, on Wednesdays, I'm working on an RPG I'm making called Band Battles tentatively. Haven't really decided on it. And so Band Battles is a game in which you are at to be in theme, you're at your Eurovision. You are at the biggest band competition of the world, essentially. And you are there, you want to be the absolute best. And through a whole bunch of trials and tribulations, from being on the backstage lot to getting your way to the stage to being on the stage and then getting off and waiting for the results, we're going to follow that entire process through this game in which you try to be the best. I think we're going to stick with I don't know if it's a setting, but like a D6 setting in which you only roll D6s. I think I haven't fully decided. Mechanics or something I'm literally just starting to work on. So if that's something that really interests you, I usually stream it around 3-4 Central Standard Time on Wednesdays over on twitch.tv/pbplaysinside. So if you want to be a part of the process, come hang out, come talk, and listen to me convince myself not to do things and then do them anyways 30 minutes later. Other things I do, let's see, Storm King Thunder. On Tuesdays tomorrow, I play in the same game as SirLucien, our Tomb of Annihilation game over on twitch.tv/Anarisis, Anarisis, SIS. Yeah. So you can follow us over there. He's doing a lot of cool stuff. He's a good friend of ours now. And let's see. And we also play with Nomadic, which you might know him from the Hexes and Bows podcast.
Yeah.
Yep. And he reviews a lot of, or their blog, he reviews a lot of stuff. He reviews a lot of stuff. And
he's part of that Squirrels game right now, right? He's been tweeting a lot about that game they've got out, Squarios or Squariers, yes. Or something like that. Yeah. Check out his Twitter because he's promoting a game for his the company he works for right now, and it looks pretty fun and cool.
Yep, great guy. I really recommend you following him. Nomadic, NOMADIC. GNOMEDIC, I believe is how you spell nomadic. Spelling and not seeing it written is not my forte, obviously. Let's see. Other things I do. I stream. It's something I do over on Twitch. I stream. Right now, I'm streaming Mass Effect. I want to go through the whole series. So if that's something you want to relive with me, feel free to come follow me. I also play Rocket League occasionally with friends. And I'll probably do some other games. I now have a more beefier computer than I used to, so I'm pretty excited to play some cool games. And I'm sure I'll get into Super Meat Boy again. And a lot of people love watching me not get angry at that game. A lot of people just can't believe my absolute patience with that kind of game. So if you want to see me not rage at a game, follow me and see me play some Super Meat Boy. If you want to see me rage, come follow me and as I play some Rocket League by myself.
Rocket League, that's what I was just going to say. Yeah.
And for RPG content and creation, I really don't play many, or I don't stream many games I play in for RPGs on my channel, but I do host everybody who does. Also, another thing, I guess I'll advertise it here. By Wednesday, I will have a public Discord that I'm going. That sounds really weird to say. I will have a public Discord in which you could just go hang out. I know a lot of people who follow me and follow us, frankly, who are always looking for RPGs and TTRPGs and people to play with, or they just haven't played in a long time and they forgot how much they loved it and they're sort of just getting into it. I know SirLucien does invites people who subscribe to him to one shots, but over here you'll just be able to exist, sort of like in the Matthew Colwell way, where you'll just be there, and if you want to run the game, there's going to be a lot of like-minded, interested people there for you to organize something. And I'm sure I will, with enough interest, I will, help organize all of that for you guys and help teach you how to play on Roll20. So that'll be one of the advantages in starting a game there. I've been told I'm really good at instructing people how to do things. So if that's something you want to do, if you want to learn how to do some Roll20 stuff and you want to find a game, come by on Monday or anytime, or Wednesday, anytime past Wednesday. I will have a public Discord ready to go that'll be spammed in chat every once in a while. And I'm sure I'll put it somewhere on Discord, on my Twitter. So follow me there too. Anyways, thank you guys for stopping by. Follow us also at Standard Array, no the on Twitter. They wouldn't let us put it on there. At Standard Array to find out more stuff, to get all the links we talked about today. And also, come talk to us. Give us your ideas, because we're always looking for things to talk about that are RPG related, TTRPG specifically. Yeah. So thank you guys all for stopping by. We really love you guys and the support you show us and the support you show the show. And don't forget to be nice to each other. Don't forget to play more games. And we will see you guys in the next Standard Array show. Bye.
Bye.